Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I pose to the House a grave concern of mine, how the discourse in our great country has succumbed to a great decline. It's no mystery that our history has a parliamentary spine, but in recent months and years I've seen nothing of the kind. You see, our country is divided, as I'm sure you're all aware, but in generations past our differences were stances we could share. Today, honesty is rare. Campaigns are successful if doubt fills the air, a climate where truth is a state of which no one seems to care. If I were to sit down with my neighbour and ask if they voted remain or leave, listen with sincerity on what they choose to believe, then pose to her my perspective without intention to deceive, we could find some common ground on which we can agree. But for too many, a difference is a desperate siren, a signal from an ignorant tyrant. Red flags flying, they press repeat and retreat to either an entrenched silence or their jaws widen, take aim, and from which hatred begins firing. Our country is fueled by fragile absolutes, so we can pretend you are my enemy until our common cause makes you my friend. Until we have left, have won, have defamed, we again retreat to our corners, red or blue, left or right, as long as there's a corner to defend. Is it true that social media has ushered in globalization? When it provides the instruments to draw the lines of segmentation, how many accounts do you follow who offer to your views variation? Would your lack of curiosity in the wider world offer trouble or transformation? If you were to buy a house and the agent said the master had an ensuite, wouldn't you go in to prove that his statement wasn't layered with deceit? So why, when you read a tweet or an article, do you greet opinion or statement with open arms to serve scrutiny with defeat? If you were an officer arresting a young man who tried to steal and had one witness who claimed they saw the entire ordeal, would you quash his appeal? So why do you entitle one newspaper to tell you how to feel, who paint a world which you perceive as real? Why do you pledge fealty with men to whom you have nothing in common? In spite of claims they are the common man, a lie believed all too often, would you fight for you in his shoes or your millionaire sponsors? I think I know what your response is, a CV oozing with broken promise. For instance, our country has fallen into an identity crisis. I have seen nothing like this, structured chaos at its finest. How many equate Britishness to whiteness, a problematic paradox in this volatile climate. You see, the problem is it's a misconception that people have started accepting. Because in this world of absolutes, they no longer stop to question, so it becomes a narrative through which those suffering are projecting their rejection of people who don't fit a definition that's misrepresenting. From this poison chalice too many of our Britons have drunk. So those they choose to hate live with pigment in their skin and accent on their tongue. From this definition hung dad and mum, passing these values to their young, who in turn feed a fissure that prevents the many becoming one. For some, it's an expression of a lack of national affection. For some, it's a simple need for more attention. For some, it's a fuel of significant obsession. For some, the sun has never set on their fragmented history lesson. And to prove my point, those who are watching me on their screens, sitting through gritted teeth, listening with disbelief that again I'm pitting white against black, are so rooted in routine, they fail to see how their ignorance cloaks their own insecurity. A deep irony that these are just another minority. One that is less quiet, one without regard for history or science, one irrespective of bias, spreading their hot air of opinion that would have once been private has caused global warming in this lack of moral climate. Today, I implore you to think for yourself. Be the one to ask why. Why would we politicians lie? Why are our actions never justified? How can we sleep tight while those, black, brown or white, can't earn enough to turn the heating on at night? When you could be the difference between ignorance and acceptance, you're either too busy picking a side based on some semblance of resemblance, or you're waiting at the entrance because you think this discourse doesn't require your attendance, when in fact your passivity is in essence an active way to serve the suffering with a life sentence. I'm not asking you for answers. I'm asking you to try to understand that when you meet me with a stereotype, I feel like less of a man, when in fact my heritage was forged on toast with jam and Great Yarmouth sand. I'm as British as you are, and I was born in this land. I apologise, Mr. Speaker, for my lengthy digression. but it has become my obsession and my intention to express how our differences make us stronger. So we must pay them more respect and attention. I cannot make you care, but I can make you question.